You are listening to an exclusive on Pod Hub Network. Your city, your podcast.
To the delight of this crowd, McClendon marches down the dugout steps with first base.
McCutcheon's throw. The runner breaks to the plate. Here's the throw. Wow. He is out. The Buccos win. That ball's hit well to left center field. Back toward the track. And that ball is gone.
You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, 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 welcome to NS9 Live. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Tyler and only Tyler. No Jim tonight. Jim is actually, he's pretty drunk, I'm sure, right now.
We have not heard from him in quite some time.
Not at all. He's actually in, is it New Orleans, right?
Chicago?
He was in Chicago yesterday. He's just traveling the world.
Okay.
You know, it's big time over here at North Shore 9. You got all the income coming. So he's just, traveling the world, business trips. But no, he's in New Orleans. So he's not going to be on the show tonight. So it's just Tyler and I. As you can see, the title of the show is not The Pirates Got Wrecked Tonight in this series. We don't want to be totally miserable. So we're going to talk the good stuff, the Pirates trade deadline talk, because that's what's pretty good and exciting right now. I guess we should maybe touch a little bit on, this series and maybe the state of the Pirates, but there's a lot that happened and there's still a lot that's probably going to happen tomorrow up until 4:00 p.m., Tyler. So I don't know about you, but I'm kind of excited.
Let's take an over-under, DiNardo. How many hours are you actually going to work tomorrow?
I'm
or
off
how
tomorrow.
much time?
So,
lucky man.
Right.
I will be spending my time on Twitter.
Exactly. Until about 4:30, 5 o'clock, right? Because all the trades that happen at 4.
Right. That door will be shut the second I walk in. And the phone will be up and one screen will be on MLB Network and another on Twitter, and we're just going to roll.
And as you mentioned today, you had the tornado come through, right? So
don't remind me.
All
right, maybe that's not going to happen.
No, not going to happen. Huh?
I'm gonna need some alerts set for me.
So, anyways, I guess if we're going to talk about this series, right? We'll get to the trades here in a second. Let's get this series up and over with. There's not much really good to talk about other than, I guess, Rodolfo Castro.
Yeah. Castro, he has pop.
He does have pop.
I mean, aside from that, this team is bad. And we fully expected it. But this team is bad.
Right. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. The pitching, the thing is, it wasn't good, obviously. This is not a good team. And it seems like Cherington is really looking to gut it, Frazier's already gone. Clay Holmes is gone. That actually might help. I don't know. But Clay Holmes is gone. Tyler Anderson's gone. Yeah. So definitely some mainstays there, some staples of reasons that the team was at least competent. And then, Rich Rod's still available. Chris Stratton's still available, potentially, able to go. So yeah. This bullpen doesn't turn out to be pretty good right now. And it's, definitely getting worse. The rotation is getting worse. Stephen Brault's looking to come back. He's going to make one more start in AAA. And he returns, which I think the start was tonight, actually, right? I believe
so.
I
did not check, but
so into that Brewers game tonight that I didn't get a chance to see.
I think I was too busy refreshing John Heyman's tweets all night.
Oh, yeah. Go Dodgers.
Right.
So, no, go ahead.
Stephen Brault is coming back. I imagine we'd see him within the next week. But you tweeted it today. Pump the brakes. He's not that great. He's here to eat innings, hopefully. And the bad part about the Pirates at this point is that we're still in a limbo of we're watching a bunch of guys are not part of the future.
Mhm.
And that makes it tough, man. Because when I watch Ben, I'll say his name correctly because he is playing well, Gamble, hit lead off and then hit clean up. Then we watch Polanco. Then we all loved him, Phillip Evans, and go down the line, Newman. This is the part that is tough, and we just got to survive it.
Right. Yeah, obviously, there's Brian Reynolds, manning center field still, who is not just an all-star, but he's definitely a very, very, very good player. It's not like a fluke season. He's legit. And like the next guy you look at is Ke'Bryan Hayes, but he's struggling right now. So it's not as if he's helping the cause and situation. I mean, you're watching Ke'Bryan Hayes still too, but he is definitely slumping and struggling right now. So all you really have at this point in time is Brian Reynolds, and somewhere, I'm not sure, but somewhere in there is, Gamble, as you mentioned, who's playing decent. Defoe actually is playing somewhat decent, and like Nagowski.
Right. I'm moving all over the place here.
I don't think you can count on those guys' performances. I mean, it's not like these are great players. They're just kind of hot right now and playing well. And I respect it. I like it, but I'm not going to bank on these guys.
Right. And that would be fine, but it all comes down to the fact that this pitching staff is just absolutely brutal to watch, man. Like you're praying a guy can get through an inning.
Yeah. Even like Cole tonight. I mean, Cole's kind of turned it around a bit. And again, you know how much I like Cole. And since he's incorporated that four-seamer, heavily, the results have been better. But he hasn't really been like, his peripherals don't match the results. I'll put it that way.
And he has not been good. Result-wise, he's been better.
Yeah. He's been adequate. He's improved. Yeah. The ERA is way better than what it should be, for sure. But he has improved, and tonight he gives up 3. He doesn't reach 6 innings, which that's also something he has been doing. He has been going 6 pretty much consistently since then as well, returning from his injury. But here's the thing, too. So even after Chad Kuhl, what do you really have in this rotation? I
actually had the pleasure of listening to the Brewers feed today, watching the game, and I did. And they made the point to mention that Chad Kuhl's the best pitcher that they will see from the Pirates, which is true, but sad.
You're right. The only other one you can really talk about is basically JT Brubaker. But, I've kind of alluded and talking about here, and they've talked on the broadcast too about possibly managing his innings and such. I mean, I just feel, first off, Brubaker has played, I think, well above our expectations to begin with, which, shed some eyes on him. Like, what is Brubaker? I think you and I are both on the same level of thinking, like, he'll get innings this year, obviously, but he's probably a pretty damn good reliever.
Yeah.
Now, the start of the season happened, and I think still, even with the results right now, I'm willing to give him like the shot to, continue to be in this rotation. I just truly feel the fact that, he just hasn't pitched since his, injured 2018 season. He's had, I think, what was it, a total of 70 some innings since then and coming into this year. So I'm not the team doctor, I just can go off of my thought process here, but I'm sure there's probably some arm fatigue, and he just isn't there. He's giving up a ton of home runs.
Right. Yeah, he is. And it's very weird because he's a dude that just goes out there and if he did not give up the home runs, he would shove.
Yes.
Like they are solo blasts too, but he used up 3 or 4 of them.
Right. Right. And it's funny. I mean, they're not the same pitcher at all, but that's why I'm still, and I know you're going to hate me for it still, but I'm less right now than I was. I'll put it that way. I'll preface this. I'm less to the point that I was, but still semi-intrigued on Will Crow because I just feel like that's it. Like with him too, he'll dance around and he'll have those 4.2 innings with 5-6 strikeouts, 2 runs, and they're both on 2 solo shots.
Like if we are 4 years ago and we're just basing on FIP, I don't know what JT Brubaker's FIP is, but I know his strikeout to walk ratio is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
We would be thinking this guy's just so unlucky. But yeah, he gives up a good bit of hard contact. A lot of them go over the fence. And I think I think he has been mismanaged by Shelton and probably above him as well. And 2, he leaves enough over the plate that end up punishing him. Is part of it luck? Absolutely. But at some point when it becomes a pattern like it did with Rich Rod a few years ago,
Yeah.
you start to wonder, is there an end to this? Are you just a reliever?
Right. And I mean, it's not like the worst thing in the world if that's what he is a reliever.
No.
It's not the worst because ultimately I think that's where we were projecting him to begin with. And like I feel like anything better than that is icing on the cake. So I think he's shown that he can be a starter this year, and you are correct. So looking at his FIP though, it's a 490. His xFIP is a 385. But like, yeah, his expected ERA compared to ERA is basically the same thing. He is right. He's striking out 9.25 per 9, walking just 2.15. So, I mean, definitely things you like to see.
Look at that.
Yeah, right.
Like if you just look at that, you're like, this guy should be good.
What's hurting him is the 1.98 home runs per 9. Tyler.
That's tough. Tough, man.
18 starts.
Fellow needs to go trade him to San Diego.
Not New York.
No, God, no.
But right.
Let him play in that T-ball park.
And that's where I'm with you, like, as well. I mean, that's why I still feel comfortable with JT Brubaker's future. I would love to see him skip maybe a start or two. Manage the hell out. That's why with Brault coming back, I'm not looking at Brault coming back and excited about it as if, Brault had like a great ERA last year and he pitched effective and, we're going to catch lightning in a bottle with him. I think Brault is what he is. I think if you're creative enough with him and you can utilize him to help him, which is what they did in 2020, Tyler, he can be effective for you. But like, that's why I did bring this up today. And maybe we'll talk about that right now a little bit. For those that are clamoring about, Brault coming up, and first off, I've seen some stuff about potentially extending him and Cole. Let's cut that out.
God, no.
Let's cut that out. There's no extension coming. Not for Brault, not for Cole. For one, Cole has another year of control. Brault has 2 more years of control. If the Pirates need Brault and Cole for the next few years, when they should be trying to compete,
we're in trouble.
There's bigger issues. Right. This club, the last thing they need to do is settle on a Brault and a Cole. Just because you feel you need arms.
Stephen Brault coming up. We are hoping he is like a Josh Fogg and that Chad Cole is a Kip Wells. We just need you to eat some innings here. Let's hold off until Zach Duke comes up.
Oh, God, Zach Duke.
That's where we're at right now.
How many times behind the scenes have we talked about Zach Duke in the past few weeks?
Too many.
It's way too many. Way too many.
But no, in all seriousness, Stephen Brault will be up here to throw 5 innings and pray that he can save your bullpen from having to throw a Luis Oviedo again, which I'll aboard it. My tweets are out there. I was all aboard it. But it's in order to not have to throw these guys that much.
Yeah. Well, we know that we're not getting Cahill back either with a broken foot falling down the stairs. Sounds like someone just didn't want to play for the Pirates anymore, like the paycheck, but
the Lonnie Chisenhall of pitchers.
But I get the worry on having arms still. But I mean, there still is Steven Wright down there. There still is Shelby Miller down there. Like there are players, and I mean, let's also talk about. I mean, the Pirates just added, I think, 87 players to this organization this week. So, like they'll be able to find some arms to get them through. But what I don't want to see is an extension on Stephen Brault or Chad Cole, because that to me is a complete sorry move of we're going to settle with these guys. Go out there and find something with more intriguing stuff, even if they pay a few more dollars to do it. In free agency, because as me, right? Someone who actually does believe in Chad Kuhl to a degree. I don't want to see that. I want to see Chad Kuhl put on a performance so you can maybe get something out of return for him and move on and then build going forward. But yes, back to Stephen Brault. I'll put those numbers out there. Like, again, he was utilized. He was put like in the best situation, right? He didn't really face the batters the third time. He didn't face them a whole lot the second time. And when he did, it was bad. So the first time through the order, here's his numbers. First time through the order, they're outstanding, Tyler. The opposing team had a 0.99 batting average and a 405 OPS. Outstanding. The second time he faced the order, they had a 340 batting average and a 757 OPS. That's not good. That's not good. And when you balance those two out, that gives you the mid-3 ERA. But that's
for a very shortened season.
Correct. It was 42 innings, I think.
Yeah, like in his career, he has been a bad pitcher.
Right. So pump the brakes on Brault.
And you know what else happens when you move on to that third time through the order? Those fastballs stop getting by guys. Maybe we don't throw 69 in a row.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Oh my God, Tyler. Right.
It's a great meme, not a great strategy.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah. So there's that aspect. But honestly, though, what I was going to get to here too is I wouldn't be opposed to doing that over again. I don't know if the answer is doing Kuhl and Brault. Maybe it's Brault and Oviedo, a combination of somebody. But I wouldn't be opposed to seeing some more piggybacking again. Utilize Brault and that and someone else. Maybe start saving these bullpen arms too, because they're being utilized like hell.
Yeah, and I know I just kind of threw Oviedo out as a kind of example here, but I think the curveball does play at the major league level. The fastball command is absolutely garbage, and he's all over the place with it. But when we're looking at our other options, I'm okay watching Oviedo go out there and try to maybe piggyback. Probably not start right now because you do have... Right now, the Pirates are in a survival mode. We got to survive this season and make sure we don't hurt the guys that are actually going to be coming up. We can't be wasting Cody Ponce or whoever that, or JT Brubaker for that matter. We can't waste these guys and make them throw more than they have to just because we have nothing else.
Correct. You're correct. You are absolutely correct. So obviously Tyler Anderson's gone, Brault takes over, but you have guys like Oviedo, Ponce.
Yahure's throwing again.
He is.
I don't know if we see him again
Kranich,
this year,
but like I feel like, and again, you have Wright and you have Shelby Miller down there. I mean, there's a reason Shelby Miller was added to this club. There's a reason before the season that Wright was, signed to the deal as well. We knew, and I'm sure Charrington knew as well, at this deadline, they're losing some arms. So mentally and, I guess physically in a sense, they had to go ahead and shore up for that. And, they made moves already. They've made them so far. And Dylan Peters, I mean, he's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. You want to talk about giving up home runs? I think he's given up, top of memory in the minors, I think, 12 and 40 innings. Is that what it was? I believe.
That's about right.
It's bad, but like you said, it's survival mode.
Yeah, at this point, we're just trying to survive it. You're probably looking for guys like us. I mean, Stephen Wright can go out there and throw 300 innings the rest of the year. He's not going to hurt himself.
Right.
He throws a knuckleball. Who cares? But I wouldn't mind going out there and seeing a Shelby Miller throw. There's a reason you have so many quad A arms. You got to have some guys that are stretched out so that you're not eating your bullpen alive.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Which again is why I'm all for a piggyback again. I mean, that's a day that like pretty much your bullpen can rest. They need it.
You hope.
Well, yeah, you do hope. By
Like,
piggyback, I mean 3 starters.
Really, like Oviedo really struggled.
He did
to get through even the first inning.
So there's definitely the level of survival, but also on top of that, there is still an evaluation mode. You know, like you said, like Oviedo, you're basically just trying to hide him to keep him on the club, and that way next year he's in the minors. That's what you need to do. But again, there's no, I mean, have him go out there and pitch though. He still has to pitch. You know, he's going to go pitch. Use him as a
We're
piggyback.
running out of spots in the minors as well.
Well, yeah.
It's getting a little full down there.
Next year's going to be even worse.
Yeah. And I mean, you talked about the piggybacking. The bullpen strain is going to get even worse if a Rich Rod trade does happen.
Correct. And that might not stop there. I mean, Holmes is already gone. Crick has been DFA'd. Rich Rod goes, and potentially Stratton goes. I mean, that's 4 guys right there gone that were actually like integral parts of this bullpen. It wasn't just like a guy. I mean, they were used a lot, often and late. You know, other than them, what's left? Bednar and
you don't want to like abuse Bednar.
No, because that's a guy you're trying to do the same thing. Like he's potentially your future,
right? I mean, not
Sam
that they
Howard
would abuse them because they're not gonna win that many games to have to use them, but he might actually be in the best position. He's just chilling.
Right.
All right, I got 20 innings left of me this year. I'm good.
Right. I only foresee about 14 more wins, so I'm good.
They'll throw me out there 6 times just whenever we're on a 10-game losing streak and wake me up.
Right. Yep. So I guess that pretty much we can wrap up the state of the Pirates with that. I guess the only other thing, let's end it on a high note though. So again, going back to Castro, right? Adam Frazier gets traded. I think a lot of us are wondering and inquiring, like, does that mean, Castro takes over second base? He does. And he now owns an MLB record. His first 5 hits, all home runs. Look at tonight. I know he didn't get any more hits. Of course, no more home runs either. But like the first 2 outs, I think the first one went 386. The other one was about the same. I mean,
missed it by a quarter of an inch.
Right. I mean, very hard hits, deep flyouts. Like you said to start off the show, kid's got pop.
He has the pop, and he is confident right now because there's zero reason you dive for a ball and try to get the runner out at home early in the game. You have to be confident to do that, and he did not get him out.
Right.
And I tweeted about it was being a dumb play because it is an absolutely stupid play. You got to be confident doing it. And the fella's feeling himself.
And I'm cool with that. Good for him. I'm glad you alluded to that. I was going to say it in the fact that, did you see the chain and the buttons undone today? Oh man, he's feeling himself. Yeah.
He's put like 10 balls in play and 5 of them are homers. He don't care.
But he's like a legit wild card in the sense where, I think a lot of us been talking about the middle infield, and you go to Gonzalez, you go Cole Tucker, Kevin Newman, there's Bay, there's Cruz, there's a lot of middle infield talent that's going to be coming up. And I think lost in that a lot is Castro. When he's been given opportunity this year.
And that's before the trades.
Right. Yes. Because there's like 4 more middle infielders now.
Like we're at a point here where Newman and Tucker, you got to go. There's no space for you.
I do not see Cole Tucker as a Pittsburgh Pirate next year.
I don't know if he'll finish the year out as Pittsburgh Pirate.
That could legit happen.
There's a
as well.
good chance he can get DFA'd just because there's nowhere to play these guys.
Right. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened for the exact reasons you mentioned. There's a roster crunch everywhere. Like every organization. I mean, that's, I guess, the downside of losing all these teams. But regardless, like, I feel like even if like the Pirates still had West Virginia or whatever, you know, like there's still this issue that's happening because these aren't just 17-year-olds either, you know, where you can kind of stash them down there. I mean, these guys, kids, whatever you want to call them, need to be in AA and AAA and such. So, yeah, they got to play. And there's no reason to have, I mean, I think right now this organization doesn't have Cole Tucker in their future plans at all.
I'm fully with you. I don't think he's even in like tomorrow's plans.
I think these trades prove it.
That's something that I think is Ben Sherrington's. I think that's kind of his philosophy here, where I've tweeted about it. I don't know how many times I'm going to say I've tweeted about it today, but I'm going to say it again. It seems like he is going full on the I'm getting guys who can play up the middle. And he's going center fielder. He's going shortstop. He's going second base. He's going catcher. And I don't know if it will work because we've seen Neil Huntington kind of do a little bit different where he's going after guys that he thinks can hit, and then we'll find a position for him. Ben Sherrington seems like right now, even through the draft, I mean, you look at how he's drafted. Lonnie White, he's probably a center fielder. Nick Gonzalez, shortstop, trade for Peguero. Every trade that's been made so far, he's taking guys that play up the middle, and we'll figure it out later, which I don't hate, because if you can play up the middle, you can probably play anywhere on that ball field. Unless you're a catcher, then you're a corner player, but still.
But there you go. So if you don't work out as a catcher, you're a corner guy. I mean, that you're still filling those positions without targeting them. Is kind of what you're alluding to.
Right. And I think we saw at one point it with Huntington where he was going super athletic, maybe guys that don't play certain positions in college, like when he drafted Jacoby Jones, Connor Joe.
Yep.
Like guys that, and they try to put Jacoby Jones at shortstop, Connor Joe at third base, guys like that. Sherrington seems to have a different philosophy in terms of positions he's targeting, and they seem to be straight up the middle. Guys that if they don't stick here, we'll find a position for them, just hit.
Yeah. Now you make a good point. I mean, the number one overall pick was a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the next guys were, a lot of pitchers, which the club needs for sure too. But right, like you say with Lonnie White, he's athletic as hell. He's a center fielder most likely. I mean, I heard people comps of like a Marte type player, which Marte's athletic as hell. That makes a lot of sense in that sense. But right, like I feel like every trade has featured a middle infielder. Every single trade that he's made has a middle infielder, and like you said, likely a center fielder. I mean, there's Hudson Head, right, who came back in that. There's Lonnie. There, like every deal, like you say,
Andy Rodriguez.
There's a catcher involved. There's a middle infielder and likely an outfielder and a pitcher.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at even like Kanan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably not a center fielder, but he's like a third piece. Those are outliers in his trades,
right,
so far.
But if he's not now, then we'll find a spot for him.
I mean, even when we look at what's his name, Benz?
Yes,
catcher that probably won't stick, but
see,
if he does stick, then we get a backup catcher. If not, guys' walk rates through the freaking roof.
That's another thing. Yeah, like I mean, the skill set of some of the guys he's going for, like the Head, like him, like they all have. Now, Head didn't have it beforehand. I will say that, and I think we talked to Tim. I forget, but regardless, I mean, he's been leading off. Like his approach a little bit different. He's walking a lot this year, but I feel like a lot of the guys he's targeting too, there's a lot of high walk rate and high strikeout rate. It's like so there's a lot of Mason Martins in the system right now.
No, it's almost like reverse Neil Huntington, where he took like high projectable pitchers, and Ben Sherrington's just taking projectable hitters.
Right.
You walk You can hit bombs. All right, let's go.
And we'll figure it out.
We'll try to cut those strikeouts.
Yeah, I guess we'll get into that when we talk about the trades specifically. But yeah, that is interesting, and I fully agree. It seems like it's methodical, right? There's enough data now with all the trades he's done to see like the big scope of things, and you're right.
Back to Marte for Piguero.
Right. So, okay. So we talked a little bit about the actual Adam Frazier trade. We didn't really get your input, so I'll let you take the floor for a second, and you can talk to us about it if you like.
Oh, boy. So I think it's a trade where it's hard to give an opinion on because every opinion on Marcano seems to be all over the place, depending on whatever site you use. And when you look at it, just without all that, let's just look at the trade and we see they gave up 1.4 million, 1.5 to go get this guy.
Right.
There has to be something there that Ben Cherington loves in him to put the money into it and go get him and really not get much. I mean, he got some projectable pieces with it, but nothing really to write home about. So I think when you look at the trade, it's one of those things where ignore all the outside noise. He loves the guy. And right or wrong, he was going after him. And we heard about it when after they traded for him, that he wanted him in the Musgrove trade and couldn't get him. So obviously there's something he likes or a scout likes. And will it work? God only knows. But it's hard to really give a true opinion without really seeing a little bit more.
Right. Yeah, I think that pretty much summed up like my thought. You know, my personal views on it was like, but like you said,
it seems underwhelming.
I will respect him, and like that's the guy he wanted. So go get him. Like if you see something, go get him. Now, if he doesn't pan out, then we can question you and your ability to see things. But at this point in time, if that's your guy, you went and got your guy. That's a win for you.
And I think there's something to be said with, I've heard whispers of criticism about Cherington's trade history so far with the Pirates. I mean, we talked about it in our chat about Piguero and for Marte after we just saw the Marte trade. Good Lord. Mm-hmm. Josh Bell trade, Musgrove trade. There are question marks, absolutely. But our question marks are, well, they are based on numbers. They really haven't produced too well, most of these guys so far. And prospect ranking wise, depending on where you look, it's tough. Like if you look at Pipeline, they got a great farm system. You look at Fangraphs, it's fine.
So you just talk like overall the farm with all the trades,
right?
Such. Yeah,
right.
So to kind of talk like my thought on the farm as well, and here to put out some numbers, and I'll talk about Fangraphs because Fangraphs has all the new incomers, right? Something like Pipeline doesn't have, and of course like updated rankings and such. Like this organization, something Cherington has definitely done. We talked about who he targets, right? There's definitely a lot of guys with upside. A lot of them have performed, some not, and whatnot. But regardless, this farm has certainly gotten very, very, very deep right now.
It's a great word to use. There's a lot of depth.
There's a ton of depth to the fact that we're talking about. Like Cole Tucker might just be gone because there's no room for him, even like you can't even stash him in the minors.
No longer are the days where he's your number 6 prospect.
No, not at all. So there's a lot of depth, but I think the club still has the same issue it started with, which I don't know if you can certainly, of course, turn that around at once. It's not as if Cherington was given a star player. The closest he had to a star was Marte, right? So he wasn't really given too many stars to go ahead and trade for like some blue chip type prospects. There have been 2 drafts though, right? To this day, that is something they're still lacking, is someone with true like star power, like a legit big time prospect. There's potentially guys who maybe can turn to that or whatnot, but that is something they're lacking right now. When you're talking on the scale, right, future value scale, like the Pirates have, they top out 50 scale, right? Nothing higher. There's no 55, no 60. There's no Wander Franco at 80. You know, like there's no big time prospects. There's a ton of those middle guys that have a lot of variance to them, though. They might end up being that one day. They also could be out of baseball one day.
So I think that's a little tough to judge right now. Because, I mean, no minor league season last year. We don't know what Nick Gonzalez is. Maximum, I think we expect him to be a good major leaguer. But I think going into this year with this draft, you could be looking at some dudes. And I think that's where Cherington's looking at building this team, is through the draft and then complementing it with trades. Because at this point, we've seen it around the league. You're not getting dudes through trades, especially when you have guys like the Pirates do. They're not giving up dudes.
I was gonna say, I mean, but if you have a Trey Turner and Max Scherzer, you will. But
exactly.
But the Pirates don't. The Pirates have Chad Cole and Steve Brault and Kevin Newman. So
if they could have only swung that Vasquez trade,
right.
So I think that's where we're kind of at right now with it, where he seems to be building depth through trades, but going after high impact players through the draft. It's just way too early draft wise to tell.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
But I also think we could be looking at a Henry Davis if scouts start to like his catching ability. We could be talking about a 60 future value player easily.
Yeah, that's like, again, like that is where I'm getting at here. That can absolutely change, and I think that's the hope. Again, like this club has. So here's the thing: this team has 60 guys that are 35 plus value or higher. Right? There's like nobody else. There's like no other organization right now other than Texas who has more at 67. So again, talking about the depth and such, there's 18 that have 40 plus value. And again, like what that means is those guys have like a lot of variance. Like those could level up. Even like you said, Henry Davis could. At this time, there's nothing. So at this time, taking a snapshot at this farm, it's very, very deep, but you don't have like a Wander Franco. Like so again, I guess we're going to go back. Like there's no Andrew McCutchen at this point in time.
Right.
If that's fair. It can happen. That's absolutely correct. But at this point in time, that is something this farm does lack, is there's a lot of variance. There's a lot of lower level guys who have pathways, but there's no sure. I guess Henry Davis probably is the closest to that. Henry Davis is probably the closest to you're going to be a good major leaguer. Where I think the rest have a lot of variances. You're hoping for them to be.
Right.
Yep.
There is a ton of variance in that minor league system, which, I mean, he's gone out and acquired depth. So just throw it all at the wall and see what sticks.
And when you have 60 guys to work with, someone's going to stick.
Right. And it is fun to kind of look back at Huntington's last few years of his trades of they're both going after quantity, but Cherington's going after lower level quantity. Huntington went after the AAA quantity. Huntington didn't work out. Will Cherington's work out? God only knows, but my God, they got so many dudes. Like, just give me 5 of them that work out.
Yep. Yeah, I feel there was more strategy to Huntington. He wanted to keep it going. He needed guys that were here soon. And that might have led to it where...
Especially towards the end where it was time's running out here.
Right.
We saw a little. Actually, towards the middle is where we saw the lower level, but early in his tenure, we saw a lot of the same that he did at the end. The Andy LaRoches, and granted, Andy LaRoche was a bona fide prospect, but
people forget that too. But yes,
God, I miss those days where people would actually trade prospects.
like think about if they were doing it now.
Think about like Aroldis Chapman getting Gleyber Torres as a rental.
I try not to, because like it wasn't even just him. There was Billy McKinney. There was God, I forget. I don't know. And then they got Chapman back, but yeah, just for like a half a season of a reliever. They got Gleyber Torres, the like number one prospect in baseball.
Imagine if teams were still doing that.
What's that going to happen again?
God, I miss those days.
Imagine. I mean, I guess Wander Franco isn't a level like still like where Gleyber was at that point in time. But like, imagine like Wander Franco getting traded for Kimbrel right now.
God, I miss that.
Jeez, yikes.
Which makes it even worse on Huntington that teams were making those deals back then and he couldn't swing one.
Yeah. But enough of Huntington. Let's get back to this. So I'm pleased with the farm. I'm pleased with what happened. I guess we could talk about the other trades that went down. So, Tyler, speaking of the Yankees, I mean, it wasn't Gleyber Torres, but they traded for Tyler. They traded for. Now listen, I'll give you the floor because you pointed out what reliever was for free. They traded for Clay Holmes. They said, we'll give you two guys. Now, I understand they're Rule 5 eligible, and there's probably a roster crunch for them. There's not more of a roster crunch than anyone, I think, than the Pirates have right now. But we're going to give you two guys that are having pretty damn good seasons right now for Clay Holmes.
DiNardo, you could have told me that we got me and you in return. And I would have been, we got two breathing individuals for Clay Holmes. Really? Like people that can throw a baseball got traded for Clay Holmes?
All the relievers in the world. Why was Clay Holmes such an early targeted reliever? There's all these relievers right now going.
I was listening to Greg Brown on the radio and talk, and like everyone's trying to dance around the subject of being like, how the hell did they get two like actual baseball players for Clay Holmes? And God only knows these two baseball players could be terrible. They could both just not hit anymore. It's very possible. Like,
so they Yankees slide in and be what Clay Holmes was. It's a fair trade.
Like Clay Holmes was bad. It was a miracle he lasted as long as he did as a baseball player. And we got two living, breathing humans out of it.
Two living, breathing humans.
Two. Not to mention, like, there are people that think Castillo is the real, like, target here. Because I don't know if you read the Fangraphs thing where someone from Fangraphs said that there have been analytic-minded people that say he should be ranked a lot higher.
Here is part of the surprise, I guess. Is
you're gonna tell me Clay Holmes threw two scoreless innings?
What's that?
You're gonna tell me Clay Holmes threw like two scoreless?
Of course. Am I missing it? Where's he at? Where are these dudes on Fangraphs? Where's the rankings?
Oh, good Lord, DiNardo.
Am I not on the right spot?
You boomer.
I feel like an idiot now. Well, I mean, I kind of always do, but.
Were you looking for rankings?
Yeah.
This is pathetic. Dead air. It's awesome.
Someone want to sing a song for us? I mean, I know I seen them here, and I don't see them here anymore. Is this not actually updated? It's got to be.
See, I did not see Castillo in the top when I looked. But let me pull it back up. Let me be the millennial here. Fix everything for you. It's what I do.
I mean, I'm on 21 updated. Anyways, while you're looking here,
yeah.
Yes.
What exactly am I looking for?
What ranking he is
question.
right now in the Pirates system?
He is 22.
So how come I don't see that?
Right behind Rodolfo Castro and 2 behind Lonnie White. Ahead of Andy Rodriguez, Mason Martin, Jose Soriano, Oviedo, Cal Mitchell. Ahead of Eddie Yean, actually.
Oh, God. Here it is.
Dear Lord.
I was looking under, so I'm under scouting a position because I want to see their stuff. He's not over there, but he's in the summary. Okay, well, for everyone else who we've already lost. Okay, fine. So, yes, Castillo's ranked 22nd. The Pirates have a deep farm that we just mentioned. It's very deep. The number 22 is probably like a number 15 or higher in some clubs' farms, right? The Pirates flipped Clay Holmes, and they have the now number 22nd prospect on their system in doing so. That's a huge win. And Park is the number 38 prospect. He's having a great season. I know he's older. I know it seems like of an anomaly a little bit, but he's beefed up. Like, that's one thing they talked about was he came into 2020 just a house, but there was no minor league system, so he couldn't prove and show anyone. So he came back in 2021, the same physique, and he is just mashing. So, like, I understand he's 25 years old in AAA and he's mashing, but he's intriguing. And Tyler, once again, what was his numbers in AAA? He had a walk rate of 20.6%. While mashing.
This guy can absolutely suck. I don't care. The Yankees fans' tears on Twitter made me laugh so hard.
So there's that part, absolutely. But the other thing too is just like, get this guy up here. Let's find
he needs
out
to be up here next week
what he is. Just if they would have got Park alone with Clay Holmes, it's a clear win because I'm intrigued to see what this guy can do. If they would have got Castillo alone, that's a win. And they got both.
We know what Clay Holmes is.
He's not the future.
Not one bit. We know he's bad. We don't know if these guys they've hit. Clay Holmes didn't really pitch well in the minors. Pitched fine. But I mean, we got Park, who is a middle infielder again, that can play the outfield. I mean, worst case scenario. Well, not worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is he's terrible. But I mean, middle of the road, he's a utility player, a good player to have.
Yeah.
I'll take that every day for Clay Holmes.
Right. Which is kind of like what you think like Castro could be to a degree. You weren't banking on him. You were banking on him like a utility guy. Here's another possibility.
Yeah. I will take these guys that can play the middle of the infield and move around every day of the week. And I will watch them every day of the week rather than have to watch Kevin Newman go play.
So since we brought up Park, right? Let me bring up this question. Let's talk about it at this point. So Tyler, we were talking about the roster crunches. We're talking about all these guys needing to find a spot to play. There's already issues in, single A, double A. Of course, triple A is less talent, but I mean, now we're getting talent in there. So Park is a middle infielder by trade, does play outfield. Right now, there is Kevin Newman, per se, and it's short. I know how you feel, but I'm okay with him there. I'm okay with it. Okay. Castro's a second, and I mean, he's proven that he needs to stay here until he's not. I would like to see Park as a 25-year-old, not in Indianapolis right now. With the Rule 5 crunches coming up, there's a lot of let's see who can play. I want to see him in the major league right now. I need to evaluate right now and see what he can do.
Absolutely, especially when you consider he can play the corner outfield. He can play second base. I get it. Newman probably defensively needs to stay at short so we don't abuse our pitchers and throw out someone that can't really play short. But who are we taking at bats away from here? Polanco.
So that's
Phillip
my
Evans.
question. That's my question. That's where I'm going to, Tyler.
It's at a point now where we gotta start seeing what we got here.
So does that mean once this deadline passes, because he's not getting traded, but once the deadline passes and Cherington can start settling in and figure out where these guys are truly going, is it time for a Polanco DFA?
It might be. I think you can throw Phillip Evans in that mix, but he plays too many positions to not do it. I think Polanco's probably first on that agenda. I mean, that's assuming that you don't see a Wilmer Difo or a Ben Gamble deal. So Polanco's probably the first on the chopping block here.
I'm with you. I've been behind Polanco staying. Reasons for it. Who is pushing him out? Nobody, right? For the most part, Oliva was injured most of the season. Are you pushing him because of Alford or Kai Tom or Fowler or whom? No, right? No. Who else is there? Nobody. But I think now there is a situation. Brian Reynolds is an all-star.
He's there.
He's great. He's manning center field. Gamble has surprised many, you and I. You've now actually called him Gamble. He doesn't deserve to be off this team. And the fact too, he has control for another year. He could be on next year's club. So Gamble's still here. You talk Difo, but honestly, like even with Difo, he has versatility and he's performing. Oddly enough, he actually is hitting. Nagowski's hitting. I'm not getting rid of him. Phillip Evans and Polanco to me are like next on the chopping block because Evans he's not that dude anymore. He's not that guy.
No,
you're not that guy. I need to make that a new drop.
but he's got that versatility where he can play first base like he did tonight. He can slide in the third, and he can play the corners. Polanco's got one spot, and he doesn't do it well.
And that's where it comes down to is the trade-offs. Do you go for versatility or do you go for the guy who at least does have some thump and is 11 for 11 in stolen bases? You know what's odd? I mean, think about this too. And we talked a little bit about this in separate ways. I mean, we talked about the fact that I had the over for Polanco in home runs, and I might get that this year still. But he's also 11 for 11 stolen bases. Polanco, legit, if he has the opportunity to play all year, he has a legit shot at having a 2020 season. Great, you know what I mean?
And his numbers might match up with Phillip Evans right now.
By the way,
At the plate.
Schwarber heading to Boston. Live breaking news.
Huh.
But yes, go ahead.
I haven't looked lately, but Polanco's got to be up there with Evans at the plate. It's just that position versatility. And then you add in a Colin Moran that seems like he's coming back soon.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe Evans is the guy that you
Could be
put
both.
on the chopping block.
Could be both.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough down there that you can't get rid of Oliva.
No.
What's the point? You can send him back down, but what's the point? Like, he's old enough that he needs to be up here.
Evans has an 83 weighted run created plus, negative 0.3 WAR. Polanco has an 80 weighted run created plus, negative 0.2 WAR.
And if you compare them over the last
They're
probably 2
basically
months,
the same people.
I'd say if you compare him over, even though if you look at the last month, it's not even close. Polanco's blowing him out of the water.
I would believe that. Yeah, because Evans started off really hot again.
So, I mean, I guess if you're looking at a Colin Moran coming back, maybe it's Evans. Because you do have enough guys that can play third. And you have enough guys that can play first. And if you call up a Park, then he can play the corners.
And that's what I'm alluding to. I shouldn't even have like Moran in my thought process, but looks like he's coming back. So the reason I'm even entertaining this is because, again, like I feel Park should be here. And if Park is up here, someone's going to go. And if we're talking that Park and Moran should be here, then two guys got to go. And that's why, like right now, I'm on board with, I love you, Gregory Polanco. I wish the best for you. You didn't pan out the way we hoped. But now it's time, because now you are actually hurting the club. In the sense of, I mean, performance is hurting the club, but there's no need for a good performance. You know, it's like you're hurting the club because you're not performing this year. I mean, what are you performing for? Who cares? Now you're hurting it because we need Park to play, and you're taking at bats away from him. So it's time to go.
Yeah, I think they might lean toward Evans if Moran is close, just because the clubhouse presence of Polanco is probably, in their minds, worthwhile. Especially if, I mean, we're at a point now where there's not many veterans on this team. I mean, are they going to look at Wilmer Defoe?
Gamble, Defoe.
Gamble, Defoe, Stallings.
And Stallings is a good one. But you're right.
I mean,
other than that,
Nagowski. Like, I'm just trying to think of older dudes on this team. Newman? I don't know.
I mean, if it's Newman, it's also Reynolds, and that, you know, the same sense. And but it is what it is. Like at the same time, too, does that value, right, weigh over having Park playing right now? I mean, I guess ultimately it's Cherington, you know, but
I have to look at Polanco's numbers, and I know he's been raking.
Since he came back, he was like 300, 400, 500 basically for a bit there.
And then you look at like a Phil Evans, who really has not added much other than a couple weeks last year and a couple weeks this year. He has the position versatility, but you can find some dudes that can play third base and first base.
Since Polanco's come back on July 17th, he's batting .250, on base .350, slugging .571. He's got a 141 rated runs created plus. 2 homers, 1 triple, 2 homers, 1 triple, 1 double, and 7 hits.
Now, if Moran comes back, though, you might see both of them gone. It might be Evans, then Polanco.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might just see him send all of them back down. Because they have a lot of guys. They got a lot of like sixth outfielders.
I could see actually all of it down. Park. I don't know. I mean, you'd want to see both, truthfully, to a degree. Like in my mind, I think what would make sense is having like an outfield rotation depth of like Oliva, Reynolds, Gamble, Park. You know, and Park can of course play a little bit of like a middle infield or around there stuff too. So I guess theoretically you can put Oliva down, but I don't know if that really makes sense. Like if Park's up, I want to have Oliva up too.
Yeah,
because I really only see both of them.
If Oliva goes down, then you really don't have a center field option.
Also true. Yeah.
Like I don't want to watch Ben Gamble try to troll around center field.
Right.
But this is all super premature considering Gamble and Defoe could be gone tomorrow.
See, I doubt that. I do. At least the Gamble part. I think Defoe would be first before Gamble. Just because
I do too,
Gamble has a year of control, but theoretically you could keep him, and I'm not opposed to it. It'd be a cheap outfield option where you don't have much options there.
He could be a fourth outfielder on the team, but
yeah. And I'm cool with that.
You know, I could also see Sherrington thinking, let's sell high on him. Because he's not getting much better.
Yeah. I mean, he could also just be gone this offseason too. Even though he has a year of control, it's not in the cards. There's such of a roster crunch. I mean, you can only keep so many guys.
That's the other part of it, though. Like, you need some 40-man space here.
Right.
Some of these guys are going to have to go whether you like it or not. Might as well get some now.
So, anyways, I do want to see Park. I do feel that we are now definitely at the point. Like, Polanco served his point, his purpose. A lot of it was he could catch lightning in a bottle and get traded. It just seems unfortunate. You showed the numbers, or you mentioned it, and I pulled up and said them. They came about a month too late. Like, if this is when he gets hot. So, okay, let's be a little bit funny here. He finishes the year.
Could Polanco be a trade bait?
I don't
Looking at his
think
last
so.
month number.
I don't think so. But
bench bat.
But just think of this now, right? Polanco heats up. Rest of the year, he just is on fire. He finishes with a 2020 season.
No.
Right? He finishes now at the end of the year because he catches so far, like right about 100 weighted run created plus.
No.
Is it Polanco season all over again in 2022?
No, that option's... He'll get the Jung-Ho treatment, if anything, where he gets not picked up and then maybe signed back for like...
That's actually what I'm alluding to. I mean, the option's gone. It's Chris Archer all over again. Like, you're not picking him up, but you might re-sign him. Like you said with Jung-Ho. That's gone, but like, could you imagine? Right? He finishes this season like all hot. When you look at the entire body of work, it's like, well, he wasn't really that bad. And you remember the great finish he had, and you're like, let's bring him back. He's healthy now. He found it.
I can imagine Pirates Twitter. But no, it's time to turn the page on Gregory Polanco.
I'm with you. And I think
it's that time.
I'm on board with it being time sooner than later, unfortunately.
It's time to turn that page on that entire Pirates decade.
All right. You are correct. So we talked Clay Holmes. Clear win for the Pirates side. So now Tyler Anderson's traded as well. Twice. He goes to the Phillies.
Before the second one.
We try talking amongst ourselves about this Phillies trade, looking at everything, and then that doesn't happen. And then at like 12:05, there's rumors. I think it's like 1 o'clock. It was official where he's traded to the Mariners. And like a very similar package. It was, like, as you mentioned, a catcher, of course, right? Look in the middle, and a pitcher. Similar and different, I would say, to the Phillies. But what's your overall take on these two guys?
I think just looking at it, I was more on board of the Phillies trade. It seemed like there was more upside there.
I was too.
But someone from Baseball America came out and said that Carter Benz was going to take a giant jump to like 12th in their organization.
Which is also a deep
mid-season
organization.
So it's another one of those where it's like, oh, okay, maybe there's something I don't know. But, man, I did like that Phillies package. And if there was something wrong with one of them, who knows? Maybe Sherrington was just playing games with old Davy Dummy.
Stop it.
Hey, that's
No,
the Phillies. That's a rumor on Twitter.
Yeah, well, so is a lot of other things. I mean, I do find it funny. It makes for great storylines. I mean, obviously, Dombrowski was the guy that took over Charrington's spot in Boston. So
yeah.
Why not stick it to the man, right? Yeah, that's a great story. It's great for, WWF, WWE, whatever. But
not great to have a future trade partner when you're trying to deal your closer.
Right. You're not going to do that. Like, let's be realistic here. You're not burning that bridge. You're brand new here, and you're just going to cut off an entire organization now from ever making a trade with? Come on.
Especially when, like, a week later, they really need your closer.
Right. It's sad, but, like, we talk about how mediocre to bad this, bullpen is, and, like, the Phillies need it.
So I think it depends on who you listen to, dude. Like Mackey tweeted about Carter Benn's defensive errors this year. At the very least, it sounds like everyone that's watched him thinks he's at the very least a backup major league catcher, which that's fine for Tyler Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone got their hopes up a good bit, especially after seeing Clay Holmes, because I would have taken that deal every day for Clay Holmes. Or for Tyler. The deal that happened for Clay Holmes, I would have taken for Tyler Anderson.
I was just gonna, I think you said it in our group. I agreed. Like I would have taken that deal for Tyler Anderson. You got that for Clay Holmes.
I'll take a 4.5.
Truthfully speaking, one of the guys, according to Fangraphs, is rated higher than both of these guys in the Tyler Anderson, that happened in Clay Holmes trade. So,
but it's he got I don't really want to say projectable because the young pitcher is not really projectable. But he got a potential backup catcher.
5'11", 160, I believe.
Yeah, he's not big.
He's tiny.
There's not much more to add. But you got a potential backup catcher, which if we're 5 years down the road and Carter Benz is backing up Henry Davis, and I look back and go, all right, for Tyler Anderson, I will take that.
Yeah. I like the thing about it too. So we're talking about Carter Benz, and the catching stuff, and it just seems as if like this year, like we talked about the numbers defensively have been bad, right? He's throwing, I think, 16% of the base stealers out. That's bad.
Yeah.
There was 8 errors on the season he has. Like that's bad, but that's not typically like his MO. Like his calling card was his defense. So okay,
don't
fine.
be a Tony Sanchez.
So we think maybe that's a little bit of an anomaly, and like the calling card was a defense, the bat's really not there, and it kind of shows. But he's having like a really, really good season offensively this year. So maybe the focus was let me get my bat and I'll worry about the glove because that's good. Maybe that's a focus. Could be, makes sense. Regardless, so even though the bat's not great, what has been really good, once again, Tyler, let's talk about that walk rate. This guy walks like no other.
DiNardo, this guy might have the best eye in the minor leagues.
So, okay, there's that calling card. Like, there's a skill set for sure. And he is batting 284. His on base is 422. He's slugging 493. Like, that looks like a very, very good bat right now. So maybe there is something there. But ultimately, like you mentioned, it seems like he's slotted to be a backup catcher. Cool. And the Phillies trade, it was also slotted to be a backup catcher. Cool. So I kind of look at it this way. Yep. Okay, so both situations, both catchers were pretty much, if they were making it, going to be a backup catcher. So to me, that's why I kind of felt like I sided with the Philly side, because I was like, well, then which pitcher do I like? And to me, like, I'm with you. It was really Christian Hernandez. I feel like I liked him better than Tejada. And to me, that's why I think I like the Phillies one better. But I'm just Anthony DiNardo. I'm not Ben Cherington. I'm not even the guy from Baseball America.
Yeah, and you might have got a better stick here with the Mariners deal catcher-wise. And like we said earlier about the positional flexibility, you could have a dude here that can be your backup catcher, but also fill in and play some first base for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible.
I mean, it just seems like it's Ben Cherington's MO right now, where I want guys that can play multiple positions. And if you can catch, you're going to be able to play first base.
Well, probably.
Unless you're Ryan Doman. But he couldn't catch.
But he couldn't catch, right. Exactly.
God, he couldn't.
Yeah, so what I'll say is either trade I was cool with, which is funny, you and I agreed to this as well. The initial rumors was it was going to be another catcher who was the 4th prospect in their organization, the Phillies, right? And he was also like
no.
He was also looked at as being like a backup catcher. And I'm like, no, like I don't like this trade. I like the lesser prospects
Right.
Because at least there's more of them and there's more variance. There's upside.
There's no upside with that dude. I can't even remember his name. Marchand?
Something like that, yeah. But I just felt like my argument with that was like, why make that trade? Like, if you're going to go out there and trade Tyler Anderson for a Chris Stewart,
I don't want Reese McGuire.
Just sign a Chris Stewart. Like, so just spend
Right.
$1.5 million. Like, don't trade this guy to save yourself $1 million a year because you got this guy for $500,000. Just sign Chris Stewart for 1.5 and take some flyers, take some guys, and they ended up doing that. And I'm okay with either trade. But I'm kind of with you. Like, I felt like, to me personally, I liked the Phillies one better. But it's Tejada, and he pitched again with the Pirates. I think he had 2 scoreless yesterday with like 2 hit batters, a strikeout. Like, it was a weird stat line. But he's young. He's a kid, literally. He's 18 years old. Actually 18 and 13 days year old. So happy 18th birthday.
I think the big get there was Benz. And I mean, like I said, the guy might have the best eye in minor league baseball if you walk that much, and he has a track record of doing so.
Right. He does. This isn't like an anomaly. It's better, but it's always been elite.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he turns into a backup catcher, I'm okay with it. If he doesn't, what are you going to do? They traded Tyler Anderson. What more do you want?
Right. No, I'd be okay with it. I would not be mad. I'm not going to be mad if he doesn't make the majors either. No. I'm not going to be mad at any return. Like you said, it is Tyler Anderson. He did exactly what he needed to do. We got 2 flyers. It is what it is. I mean, hey, this organization went from having no catchers to having 3 prospects, like actual prospects too, right? Not just a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, an elite prospect, the number 1 prospect for the farm system, and then two flyers that are actually prospects. And there's still Andy Rodriguez. So, like, this farm system now has catchers.
We're not praying for Elias Diaz, though. Somehow learn how to hit.
True.
We might be in a year. Who knows? Henry Davis might go out there and suck. We're like, oh, God.
Please don't, though. Please don't.
That's the bad thing. Like, he is kind of turned into the, we really need you to pan out.
Well, for one, he's the number 1 prospect, and 2, he's the closest one here. Like, it just...
Yep.
When you have the number 1 pick, you hope they do pan out.
You have to pan out.
You don't have to.
Not even...
But...
He kind of needs to.
You don't have to, but...
He is the safest of that draft class option.
But also, like, where this organization is, he kind of has to, because I feel like he kind of bridges that gap from the current major leaguers to, like, this new wave coming up. It's like he slides in, and then that's when Cruz comes in and all this, but he's like the safest good bat, if that makes sense.
Right. And I'm just hoping that finally the Pirates have a minor leaguer that just goes in there and tears up the minors and hits his way through.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Like, we haven't had that as fans. Like, our minor leaguers are, they're ranked highly, but he's hitting like 260. There's some work to be done.
I mean, I'm not going to poo-poo it that much, but this club has certainly not had a Wander
There hasn't
Franco.
been a dude that walked
There's
in and
never been a
like,
Tatis. There's never been a just a stud. Like even
There's not a guy-
Kutch, right? Like it was. I hope he pans out. Not pan out, you know, but there was never like MVP thought in my mind about Andrew McCutcheon.
Right.
Ever.
I don't remember the last time there was a minor leaguer. I mean, Brian Reynolds might be the one that just tore up the minors and nobody cared about him.
That's the funny thing. He got no respect.
Like, he's the one that just went in there and just tore up the minors and got called up and tore up the majors. And there has not been a Pirates prospect that really has done that. Like, even Polanco didn't do that.
That's a good point. I mean, Brian Hayes certainly didn't do it.
No. Brian Hayes didn't do it. Marte kind of ish, but he wasn't He was made like hardly a top 100 prospect.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you felt Marte was always going to be like a leadoff guy. He was the speedster.
Good defense.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I mean, we can go on all day about this, but it would be nice for someone to
just have some, rip up the minor leagues and get up here. Even pitchers wise, we haven't had that.
Yeah, like, I mean, Marte's AAA season before we got called up in 2012, 286,
He's in like 280,
347, 131 rated runs created plus. I mean, that's good. I mean, we're not saying anyone's terrible, but it wasn't as if he just like, this dude's legit.
Yeah, there wasn't a dude walking in there hitting 344. And there hasn't been.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Brian Reynolds is like it.
Yeah, he was doing it. Like, the guy never hit below 300. And we're like, well, maybe he'll be a fourth outfielder.
For real. Like, he didn't even hit under 300 in college.
Right, never in his life.
Until, like, the shortened season.
Uh-huh. But even at the call-up. Like, even at the call-up, it's like, oh, yay. Like, Brian Reynolds here. It's cool. You know, congratulations. I hope you can be an outfielder.
He hit well for 2 months, and everyone's like, trade him. Let's get what we can now.
Right. Yeah. No respect. Yeah. So I guess, I mean, to kind of wrap the show up then. So we talked about the trades. Anything else you really want to talk about with the Tyler Anderson trade?
No. Just a quick question of who gets dealt tomorrow to DiNardo from the Pirates.
I mean, I almost feel like Rich Rodriguez has to.
I'm with you.
Because you could play the game of, you know, he doesn't have to go, of course. There's years of control. He doesn't have to per se, but it's just, to me, I feel like I'm not risking anything. Like, first off, he's a reliever. There's value there. He's not part of your future.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. I mean, so to this point, there was actually conversation about people were inquiring about Bednar. Now, everyone's going to inquire, I'm sure, about anyone, right? And I'm probably pretty sure Charrington's like, well, yeah, if you want to give me the world for him, I'll do it, but I'm not really entertaining it, right? Bednar's part of the future, though. Like with Rich Rod, he's not part of the future. There's value there. I question if you'll ever have any higher value. I say just do it. And even if it's not the highest, like even if you're, I don't know, if your mark's here and you wait, just, there's so many question marks right now with him and substances and stuff. And I think other teams might see that as well. And I just feel like you just, like, you do it. You just make the trade. You get what you get tomorrow. And that's it. Stratton, to me, I feel like he could stick around.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Rich Rod's the guy that really needs to go. There is no use for him on this team at this point. A team that's going to win maybe 20 more games the rest of this year does not have a use for a closer. And especially the way we've seen relievers just shit the bed. If you hang on too long, they are so volatile. I think now you got to strike while that iron's hot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't expect much for him either. But maybe maybe a little more than a Tyler Anderson. Not too much more, to be honest with you.
Maybe someone who's not Rule 5 eligible next year, too.
Yeah, preferably. Like, just give me an O'Neal Cruz back. Like Tony Watson.
Well, yeah, that's a great example. Like that, you're right, though. Like, think about that trade. You know, that's what Charrington has kind of been doing, though. I mean, not specifically like a one-on-one. Well, I guess it was a one-on-one. There was someone else involved, too. But, you know, just guys with upside. Like, that's what he was at that time, too. It was risky, and now he's the number, 30-some, 50-some prospect in baseball, depending on where you go and such. And guys, that can happen. And I'm with you. Take some flyers.
They get in that deal? God, I can't even remember.
I'm sure
they get that submarine lefty.
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Padres are closing in on Daniel Hudson.
God, I never thought I'd hear that name again. Good. He's still a thing.
He's good.
God. Like I said, strike while the iron's hot.
There you go. That's why I'm with it with Rich Rod. Stratton I could see keeping, which might sound odd and dumb for everything I just said, but I question what his value is. Like Rich Rod, I feel like his value is going to be as high as it is. I don't know how people will value Stratton. You know, I mean, we talked about it, mentioned it. I feel like we haven't really talked and given him as much love as he's deserved on this podcast. So I kind of wonder like what the rate is for Stratton. If it's not a whole lot, I think you made a good point of it. Just keep him, use him, and maybe highlight him more next year and do it again. Maybe he's noticed more. Right. But if you're not getting a ton for him right now, then just keep him.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a better chance of getting or of trading like a Jason Shreve or something like that, just a lefty.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to return. Maybe a player to be named later.
Yeah. And I feel too.
I don't think
I trust Stratton in his stuff more than I trust Rich Rod in his stuff.
I might as well, even though we got rocked tonight.
I know. I know. 2 home runs, I believe, right? So, yeah.
Wasn't pretty.
But I would almost put money that if both players came back next year, that Stratton might have the better season.
I would not take that bet because I don't know. Like, I'm that conflicted about it.
Yeah. Oh, well, but regardless. So I think Rich Rod for sure could be Stratton. I mean, there's a number of guys. And I don't think, I mean, we're seeing, like, I don't think Charrington's afraid to pull any trigger. Anyone for the prices available to a degree.
Yeah.
I feel like, Reynolds, safe. Yeah. And I think, of course, after that, Stallings, just simply because of need and everything. But
there's nothing.
That's probably it. I mean, anyone else wants to go, be my guess. If someone's asking about Polanco, buy. Defoe, buy. Gamble, buy. Nagowski, buy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, what do you want to give me?
Who else are you really keeping on this club?
When is he Rule 5 eligible?
Chad Cole.
That's pretty much.
I don't know much value's there, but like honestly, he could. If there's something that's worth it, buy.
Tomorrow shall be an interesting day. It's going to be. I think we're going to hear a lot of Pirates names in the news, and maybe not a lot of moves, but a lot of rumors.
This deadline has been lit.
It's been fun.
When
what we've been waiting on.
Like in baseball, and I think like Charrington's headline it all.
It has been what we've been waiting on all year, though.
It has. So that's the
so
one
just
thing.
in case something does happen, just stay tuned because you never know whether we'll be live tomorrow.
I know we might have to again. What a week!
I'm not going live for a Jason Shreve, whatever his name is.
There you go. No respect, Tyler.
But you never know. I'm keeping my calendar open.
Same. I'll be ready. All right. Well, let's go. Let's get out of here. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So we'll be back at some point, maybe tomorrow. If not, then next week. And we'll see you guys later. So bye-bye.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.